Hey guys, welcome back to another podcast. So I decided that today we're gonna be rereading the Toy Story 2 Disc DVD review on DVD Disney. Why, you may ask? Because Duke accidentally skipped the last time. Duke accidentally skipped the video and audio section.
Yep. This shouldn't be too long. So for the sake of this, I decided to add some maybe I add some additional music in the background, but don't worry, it won't be copyrighted. It's actually, although it is Toy Story related, it is actually music from the Super Nintendo video game of the movie. And also yeah, we're probably kind of, I don't know if it's weird for me to say this, but it's basically we're kind of doing this because in 4 days we're supposed to have Toy Story released on theaters for its 30th anniversary. So this should be more interesting, and it's probably 2 days late for that since this is also a 20th anniversary. It is the 20th anniversary of this specific DVD right that we get.
And to avoid you guys, and to avoid this from being like, a direct copy of last time, aside from the rating, of course, we're gonna have Buzz Lightyear read with us.
I am Buzz Lightyear.
Yep, that's him.
I protect the galaxy from the threat of invasion.
Sure you do.
Yeah, sure, buddy, sure. So without further ado, let's get started. And here we go. This review has taken nearly 3 weeks for me to finish. That's about as long as any DVD review has ever taken me. Or nearly, meanwhile, us takes like an hour or so to actually read the entire thing. And it is not merely due to scheduling conflicts or oversight. Toy Story is one of those handful of films that I have seen countless times and in which I cannot find any fault. The idea of writing something new and brilliant for a movie on which so much has been written has dealt me quite the dilemma. Furthermore, I decided that I could not take the cope-out route that I did face with a similar situation when reviewing The Lion King, specifically the Platinum Edition, 2 years ago, or should I say in 2003, and simply more or less omit a section on the movie itself. That, coupled with the critics' challenge of being thoroughly accurate in covering the DVD's amalgam of new and recycled bonus material, has had me feeling quite overwhelmed. So while I was able to put this task off to pour out thoughts about the earlier Lilo and Stitch 2 and concurrently reissued Disney Princess Sing-Along Songs Volume 2, with this release becoming available nationwide today, I will simply struggle ahead, fully knowing that my words cannot do justice to this wonderful film. It, from the way I see it, it definitely will. So this should be interesting, and yep. By now, chances are you know all about Toy Story, the first full-length feature film animated entirely on computers. Created by Pixar Animation Studios and co-funded, aided, and distributed by Walt Disney Pictures. This clever production tells a tale filled with comedy, drama, and adventure from a toy's point of view. The interesting premise here is that toys come to life when their owners are away. The setting is the bedroom of Andy, voiced by John Morris, an ordinary young boy who has a caring mother, played by Laurie Metcalf, who also, fun fact, also voiced another mom character from Disney, and that was Sarah Hawkins from Treasure Planet. And of course, Andy and his mom has their drooly young sister named Molly, and no shortage of playthings. The various toys in Andy and Molly's room range from tacky to cool, vintage to modern. When the children are elsewhere, the toys themselves play. They even work, as their first scene shows them taking care of administrative duties at a type of staff meeting where they have assumed assorted roles. Atop the toy hierarchy is Woody, voiced by two-time Oscar winner Tom Hanks, a pull-string cowboy who has long been Annie's favorite and accordingly is looked to as a leader among his kin. Among the most vocal of his counterparts are the quick-tempered Mr. Potato Head, played by the late Don Rickles, the fidgety green dinosaur Rex, stretchy Slinky Dog, played by the late Jim Varney, or in other words, Ernest Film Fame. And of course, Rex is voiced by Wallace Shawn. Observant Piggy Bank Ham, played by John Ratzenberger, who has since then became Pixar's Good Luck Charm. Oh, I get it, because he had played in several different roles that we all known. I see what he did there. Semi-romantic interest, Pork Lane Lamp Doll, Bo Peep, played by Annie Potts, and a commanding plastic army figure, Sarge, played by the late Arlie Ermey of Drill Sergeant role fame. Well, that explains why he appeared in that specific episode from SpongeBob, and I didn't notice that till that day. Anyway, the most pressing matter for Andy's toys seems to be his family's immediate relocation to a nearby neighborhood, but another move puts them in a tizzy early on. Andy's mom has pushed up his birthday party to today. While birthdays and holidays generally offer feelings of happiness for children and their families, they create quite a different sensation for toys. Paranoia spreads, as many of Andy's possessions fear that any wrap package accompanying the party guests could be a replacement, and in turn, signal a thoughtless send-off for them to a garage sale, or, most importantly, a Goodwill box. Amidst the chaos, Woody maintains his composure and, as is apparently standard operating procedure, a pack of Green Army men parachute downstairs to scout out the scene, using a baby monitor to report on any present activity. Or in other words, a code red is what they actually call it. And the next one, well, anyways, oh, there we go. Turns out Woody did have something to fear. For among Andy's numerous and mostly unthreatening occasions is
I come in peace. To infinity and beyond.
Buzz Lightyear, voiced by Tim Allen, the star of the TV show Home Improvement, or for most people who may know him as Scott Calvin in the Santa Claus trilogy. A high-tech Space Ranger action figure who comes boxed in a spaceship. Buzz boasts a laser light, a glow-in-the-dark capabilities, expendable wings, Or Expendable Wings. Come on. Karate Chop Action, which unfortunately this bus does not have, and a slew of crisply delivered catchphrases.
This is an intergalactic emergency. Buzz Lightyear, to the rescue!
Guys, I'm gonna pause this. When Duke comes back, we'll be. Yeah. Okay, guys, sorry for the technical difficulties. We're back.
So, anyways, back to what I was saying previously. Yep, Buzz does have a lot of good features, just like the one I have right now, with the exception of the lack of the karate chop. But in short, to make this long story short, he is one cool toy. In fact, the joy that Buzz brings Annie creates so much anguish for the quickly supplemented Woody, as Andy's room transforms from its rodeo theme to an intergalactic motive, complete with Buzz Lightyear poster and bed sheets, and his artwork. Furthermore, Buzz seems completely oblivious to the fact that he is a toy. Around the others, he uses official sounding spacey talk and is constantly trying to get in touch with Star Command, which explains his Lightyear spit movie and the Buzz Lightyear TV show that he had in 2000. Woody grows increasingly annoyed. Well, before I get to that, while everyone else seems unfazed by their exciting powers of pairing delusions, Woody, however, grew increasingly annoyed, or in other words, jealous. Likewise, even the most reliable of Woody's friends seem bedazzled enough by their new roommate to overlook the cowboy's plight of envy and despair. Woody makes efforts to have Andy pick him rather than Buzz for an outing to Pizza Planet, but in the process, he knocks the shorter spaceman out the window. Behind Mr. Potato Head's finger-pointing accusations and quick to dishonor army men, Andy's other toys turn against their former friend, except Slinky, Rex, and Bo, of course.
Right.
This sets up the remainder of the film, where the old-fashioned lawmen and new-age spacemen are on their own in the real world, forced to get along with each other to survive. Their adventures take them to the kids' paradise eatery Pizza Planet, and the toys' nightmare world of destructive next-door neighbor, Sid Phillips, with every twist of parallel providing humbling experience and subtle lessons towards understanding one another. All the while, Woody and eventually Buzz yearn to reunite with their owner and fellow toys before Andy and company leave town. If you were not among the hordes of moviegoers who caught the film in its theatrical run and have somehow missed it in the years since, you are in for a real treat. And when you finally discover Toy Story, for it is one of the most excellent movies ever made, and it is to this day forward. It is marked by no shortage of endearing characters, writing that is both wise and witty, and unprecedented visuals loaded to the brim within jokes. Together, this winning combination holds out a standing invitation for you to revisit it again and again. It is perhaps the most rewatchable film in cinema's history, presenting a rare instance where knowledge of almost every line and every scene does not deter one's enjoyment in the slightest. Besides, there is always a new angle or image to newly observe on each return trip. Pixar's debut film boasted a story and characters so rich and endearing that I would argue there hasn't been an animated film since to outdo it. The film's look is so dazzling, but it is always used to serve and advance the story. Pixar storytelling efforts are the real foundation for their wizardry, even if the animation gets the kudos and acknowledgement from many. We have seen plenty of visually potent films with nothing or not enough to get back them up. See Disney's Dinosaur, for instance. I never seen the actual movie, but I seen the trailer for the Toy Story 2 VHS, but okay. But that's simply not the case with Toy Story or any subsequent Pixar film. We can now look back 10 years later, or should I say 30 now, and credit Toy Story with single-handedly changing the face of animation. To some degree, that is quite true. The film launched a medium accepted and embraced by the public. And when follow-up efforts from Pixar and its chief competitor, DreamWorks came a full 3 years later, they proved that computer animation was here to stay. Today, the CGI comedy is an almost certain blockbuster, a fact that has driven some studios, including Disney, the longest running and most reputable, away from traditional animation. The results have not always been golden, and this current trend seems both short-sighted and bound to be short-lived. Nonetheless, the endless value of Toy Story appears to be anything but short-lived. With its statuses as G-rated family and sharp, generally funny comedy, it is truly an universally pleasing masterpiece. It is smart, original, and displays a timeless flair, which makes one wonder how this story went untold until 1995. As I have already gone into more detail, more than what most would say is needed, let me briefly wrap up with two particular aspects in which the film is particularly outstanding. One of the qualities of Toy Story, which amazes me most, is how much is packed with what is just over 80 minutes with end credits. The resulting effect is that every shot has a potential which sticks with you. Another area where the film's creators deserve endless credit is that Pixar's movie-making intentions seem pure and noble. Their characters are quite literally products, but one never feels a particular drive towards commercialism. Such a trait would have never easily undermined the entirety of the film, and the makers quite gladly avoided any temptation to go down this path. Sure, countless items of Toy Story merchandise have been sold in 10 years, and then there's a fold-out insert inside this case to promote tie-in inserts. But the movie exists to tell a story. That story is infinitely charming. And if you couldn't get a Buzz Lightyear for Christmas of '95, or a Buzz Lightyear action figure from 2009 before Toy Story 3 was released, it is because the makers of Toy Story had a far loftier and artistically admirable aspirations. This 10th anniversary edition represents a fifth way in which to purchase this film on DVD. The movie was first released to the format in October of 2000. Qualifying it as one of the first long-awaited catalog DVD titles. In its debut on DVD, the film was exclusively packaged alongside its blockbuster sequel, Toy Story 2, both a 2-pack, Lion Extras with a $39.99 SRP, and a jam-packed 3-disc set entitled The Ultimate Toy Box for $69.99. In late March 2001, single-disc individual releases of Toy Story 1 and 2 were made available, each carrying a $29.99 and replicating the discs in the still available low-price 2-pack. That fall, the same week that Monsters, Inc. burst into theaters, Disney released a DVD 3-pack holding both Toy Story movies again, using the single disc versions contained in 2-pack and individual releases, and the gold edition of A Bug's Life. In May of 2003, all Toy Story and Toy Story 2 Disney DVD and videos were all headed back into the Disney Vault, thus making the Ultimate Toy Box a rare, highly sought treasure for DVD collectors and a lucrative market for international bootleggers. I wonder how much is that Ultimate Toy Box still sold to this day. $32.97 for Amazon? That doesn't look that rare. What are you talking about? DVD Disney, what are you talking about? You're mocking me and Buzz, aren't you? It's not rare, is it? Meanwhile, the actual toy box for Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 and Blu-ray is $109.99. So that is not rare. You call the Ultimate Toy Box for 2000 rare? Oh, you're kidding me, right? I take your head, Disney and Pixar. I see what you're saying to me, but don't worry, we're still on the same level in height. Anyway, even in just over 2 years, the discontinuation was enough to create substantial demand for those wanting to own the Toy Story movies on DVD, and for those wanting all of the bells and whistles of the Ultimate Toy Box without paying 3-digit prices. Literally. This 2-disc 10th anniversary edition re-release recycles most of the Toy Box delightful features, while adding some new ones and upping the ante on its already acclaimed audio and video presentation with a higher bit rate and new remastering efforts. Similar treatment will be bestowed upon Toy Story 2 when it's released as a special edition on the day after Christmas on 2005, which is, I suppose, either December 26th or 27th. I don't know. I've seen trailers for that anyway. And now there's the video and audio. Now, how can one top perfection? How so? How so?
I am Buzz Lightyear.
How can that top perfection? But if you're using your arm sticker again, I'm fine with it, honestly. Now, anyway, this was the challenge facing the set's producers following the fallibly praised presentation that adorned Toy Story's earlier releases. Like all of the film's other DVD incarnations, Toy Story is presented in a 1:77 aspect ratio, and it has, of course, been enhanced for widescreen TVs. Like all previous Pixar releases, the film's transfer stems directly from the studio's digital source, with no mediums interfering in the process. Suffice it to say, the still alluring eye candy of Pixar's debut feature looks absolutely wonderful here. In fact, it looks as perfect as this home video format would allow, and as far as I can tell. Sharpness, brightness, detail, color consistency, and range are all consistently outstanding, and there are no problems whatsoever to detract from the viewing experience. Those comments could all readily be applied to the previous DVD releases of Toy Story. So what you may want to know is, does this 10th anniversary set actually deliver the enhanced picture as promised? The answer to that is yes, but the degree of difference between the transfers is not drastic and might not even be noticeable to those who aren't watching on screens and ginormous proportions. and performing a number of scene-to-scene comparisons on an average size 4x3 television, big screen 16x9 DVD or TV, and computer monitor, I noticed minimal improvement in this 10th anniversary edition. Predictably, the big screen television comparison yielded the greatest amount of change, but even this was not a jaw-dropping revelation because the source, transfer method, and format remained with the same and remained the same because the Ultimate Toy Box transfer was pretty much flawless to begin with. The one certain thing is that this presentation is not any weaker than the stellar quality previously offered. This DVD employs a higher bit rate, an overall average of 8.93 MB second in comparison to the Toy Box transfers 7.9. As such, the slightly lesser compression made edges appear a bit smoother in camera movements, a bit more fluid in this edition, when the picture was challenged to fill a commanding widescreen display. Had this one been a bare bones platter offering only a single 5.1 track and commentary, even less compression would have yet been used, and additional minimal improvement might have been detected. As it is, I doubt you will find a video transfer with more pleasing than this on the DVD format. And any hope for further improvement will likely wait until a high-definition format takes over. Taking notes there, 2010 Blu-ray? Oh, I bet you are. In the audio department, this DVD boasts a Pixar first for Region 1. The film has been encoded in DTS surround sound. One might wonder how they managed to raise the overall average bit rate while packing on 6 audio tracks, including DVD's least compressive format, and using less of the disc's capacity than before. It is all a matter of arranging the bits, I suppose. The Ultimate Toy Box offered 4 soundtracks: Dolby Digital 5.1x tracks in French and English and French, encoded at 384 kbs, a sound effects only track in 5.1. Finally, a perfect way to hear some ASMR for a movie. And the audio commentary in 2 channels. This 10th anniversary edition loses the sound effects only track altogether. Following the absence of this feature on The Incredibles, one assumes the studio may be moving away from including opportunities to marvel at sound design, to the dismay of fans and empathy of those who feel a single scene demonstration would suffice. Foreign and language tracks in French and now Spanish are presented only in 2-channel Dolby Surround, as is the ported over audio commentary again, and a seemingly pointless additional English track, which is also included. Well, that explains the sound effects only being excluded, aka absent in Finding Nemo and Incredibles. No ASMR? Womp womp. This leaves the 2, if not 2 or Arrow options of greatest interest to most viewers. Dolby Digital 5.1x, encoded at a higher bit rate of 448 KB, and DTS 5.1 ES, both naturally in the original English language. The Dolby Digital 5.1x track on the previous Toy Story DVDs did not leave many disappointed, but with fewer bonus features on the disc and less compression employed, things are apt to sound even better. No? Well, they do. But the extra bits are not the only place to pass the credit. Toy Story sound designer Gary Radstrom went back and remastered the film's mix to make this re-release offer the ideal home theater presentation. As Radstrom himself has pointed out in a recent interview, it may be difficult to articulate the difference between these two soundtracks and the previous DVD's audio presentation. But one, especially an Ori preceptive one, we can detect a slightly, if not a slightly, more pleasing experience with this 10th anniversary. The two primary sound offerings on this disc provide a bit fuller and richer atmosphere in comparison to the Toy Box fine Dolby Digital track. As with a picture, pretty much any audio complement can be applied to both tracks on this disc. With the DTS exhibiting a bit more range, the dialogue recordings are crisp and always fully integrated into the environment. The environments themselves are wonderfully realized. Randy Newman's memorable score and 3 songs, plus the end credits tune, followed by an additional duet with Lyle Lovett, and are filled with life. The sound design makes terrific use of the various channels, even for those who don't have a 6 surround back speaker to make use of the X or ES design. And you'd be hard pressed to find its dynamic, energetic, and appropriate DVD presentation. A handful of bonus features can be found on the first platter. First, there is a new 60-second introduction from director John Lasseter, who, as now can be expected, is clad in a loud Toy Story themed Hawaiian shirt and surrounded by a wealth of Pixar toys, including some other toys from A Bug's Life, another movie he directed, followed by, I kid you not, variations of all the VHS tapes of Bug's Life from 1999 with 5, and I kid you not 1, not 2, not 3, but actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different characters in different covers, depending on which release you get. You get Flick, you get Dot, you get Hopper, Hemlick, and Francis in the cover. And I never knew that until now. Because I never owned a 1999 VHS. But anyways, he welcomes you to the disc, briefly touting its strong points and has become a norm for Pixar DVDs. Next is the disc standout supplement, the brand new featurette, Legacy of Toy Story, which adds together comments from a remarkable roster of important figures in animation and filmmaking at large. Among those appearing are lead voice cast members Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, acclaimed animation directors Brad Bird and Hayao Miyazaki, who delivers only a brief subtitle anecdote. Considering Hayao lives in Japan, I see why not. Helmers of cinematic spectacle, George Lucas, and surprisingly, Selvit Peter Jackson, Disney's go-to film historians Leonard Maltin and John Canmaker, and Roy E. Disney, who gets to sprinkle in the sage observation that the film excels because of story, not CGI, a philosophy Pixar seems to be pushing here. There are also several animators interviewed who seem young, upcoming, and entirely dazzled by the film. Plus, the director of Ice Age Robots, mostly Ice Age and Robots, Chris Wedge, who gets too much screen time. They all speak favorably about Toy Story, proclaiming its artistry, technical achievements, and historical significance. There is also a neat section of video clips from other media in Toy Story, in which Toy Story is paid homage, from Duckman, and the BBC's coupling to the Santa Claus 2, and a speech by astronaut Buzz Aldrin. This excellent piece would appear to have been colored by a great amount of material, and it's chiefly edited so that each subject only gets in a few words. That makes for a tight, brisk, and terrific retrospective, but one which you wish there was more to. Finally, there is a feature-length audio commentary with director Lasseter, writers Andrew Stanton and Pete Docter, supervising technical director Bill Reeves, art director Ralph Eggleston, and producers Ralph Guggenheim and Bonnie Arnold. This is basically the same audio commentary which appeared on The Ultimate Toy Box, where it was ported over from the film's 1996 Laserdisc. In typical Pixar commentary fashion, this offers a spirited screen-specific discussion of the film, covering its progressions and challenges without ever boring or getting redundant. Distinguishing this track as a commentary of yesteryear is a female who proceeds to some comments by identifying the speaker to come. In a nice improvement over the commentary's appearance on The Ultimate Toy Box, here it comes equipped with two subtitle tracks. One simply identifies the filmmaker who speaks on, and the other provides a slightly abridged transcript of all the comments uttered. Both subtitle tracks are also available in English and French and Spanish. Selecting one of the knobs on the main menu's television graphic reveals the disc's lone Easter egg, that being the toy commercial for Buzz Lightyear, which appears in the film to ground the deluded spaceman. In contrast to its preferred full-screen presentation on The Ultimate Toy Box, here it appears, like everything on the set, in 16:9 widescreen, framed within the main menu's television setup. As in the case for most bonus features, subtitles in English, French, and Spanish are now offered. The filmmaker's 39-second intro from the previous release is not. Now, I'm going to pause the Super Nintendo music, the music from the video game of Toy Story from the Super Nintendo for a little bit, because I kind of want to showcase Buzz on what previews he might like. Previews? What sort of previews did my movie with Woody have? At the start of the discs, the standard serving of Disney sneak peeks play. What distinguishes the first batch is the first preview. But first, get ready for nostalgia in 3, 2, 1 for viewers who are watching.
Coming soon to theaters.
Yeah.
What's this? Well, what you're about to see now is a preview for Pixar's next animated feature. A movie about cars. Whoa. Those cars are... the speed for each of these cars are off the charts. Do they come with fossil fuel, or did they discover crystallic fusion?
Oh gosh.
Sort of fossil fuel? Anyway, the point is, in this 2-minute look at Cars, it is Pixar's, like I said, Pixar's next and potentially the last feature distributed by Disney, as pointed out from that Disney Presents a Pixar film logo that you see in that logo in in the title of the film before the preview even starts, before it decided to switch over to Disney and Pixar. It is basically it is hosted by director John Lasseter, and it's more encouraging than the debut teaser that was met with some skepticism when it played in front of The Incredibles, not only in theaters but also on DVD. Here basically shows behind the scenes on how cars are made in the early 50s or the early 60s, or depending on which decade you're in. And fun fact, Buzz, for those who, or if you may not know, so it's of course, me and Jack are already known. If we known, you known. If I known, you known. The truth is, Cars was originally going to be released in 2005. But why was it not released on that day, though? No. I thought you may never known. Well, the truth is, if I can find it for release, please. It was originally going to be released on November 4th, 2005, but on December 7th, 2004, basically, it was moved over to 2006 on June 9th. If I can find more on why, any second now. Any second.
I protect the galaxy from the threat of invasion.
Oh, for crying out! Are you finished loading, Google? Oh, for crying out! The official reason to release it in the summer is to attract more kids. Well, I guess that makes sense, because otherwise it would have been competed with the Chicken Little movie, aka the worst film that people proclaimed or claimed. I think the actual worst film in my eyes would have to be the Snow White remake. No, take that for where you will. No offense to Rachel Zegler, but still. 2005? Huh. I have so many questions. But yeah, that's what Cars is. For the sake of it, though. Yeah, I think we're kind of taking too long, but you probably have to learn more about Cars a little bit more later, or what the actual movie is about. But that's gonna be a story for another day. Anyway, moving right along, after a preview for the Pixar's next theatrical film, we have another preview that is coming to DVD on 2005 later that year, as opposed to the next bumper just basically says coming soon to DVD as opposed to coming to video, because they stopped doing VHSs for some reason, and explains their rarity right now. But anyways, the next preview is for the special edition of Toy Story 2, which is what the article just mentioned a few minutes, half an hour ago. So basically, Toy Story 2, yep, it is, like I said, it is a special edition because you get not only a lot of Not a lot of bonus features that may be similar to the toy box release, but you get better picture quality and better sound, I should say. And it's basically for what the trailer says, perfect for that holiday gift card. Oh, right. Could have made more. Well, at least it didn't make sense to release it on December 25th, but okay. And next one is, after that one, the last preview is the standard Platinum Edition promo for Cinderella. The sneak peeks menu holds the same previews as you've seen before, but also additional previews for Chicken Little, which is the one I explained to you already. October's Tarzan Platinum Edition, Special Edition, and Studio Ghibli films on Disney DVD, toting Howl's Moving Castle and My Neighbor Totoro, coming spring 2006, and next February's, or should I say February 2006, Lady and the Tramp Platinum Edition, an unrevealing first spot. And the last one is Old Yeller 2-movie collection. Are you sure it's 2-movie collection? Because I thought you said it's a special edition. Old Yeller? You mean a story about a boy and a dog? Yes, that's the one. But you want to know something about the Old Yeller preview, Buzz? There's something that I didn't know until what Jack pointed out to me before you came here. I don't know if I should explain it, but I think he should explain it to you. Go on. I'm listening.
So basically, the trailer briefly shows Old Yeller fighting a rabid dog.
Do I want to know what happened after that?
He gets rabies, and the boy ends up being forced to shoot him.
Oh my. No, that can't be right. I never knew that till now, but I think Disney kind of, for some reason, just basically shown a wrong scene. That it feels a bit dark, even though it is still the best. It still has the best looking trailer with the music and shows the behind the scenes features or bonus features. But I like to question, why would you add a climactic scene that would later then become gut wrenching? Disney, I'd like to have a word with you. But yes, like I never knew what this 2-disc special edition for Old Yeller would be, because I thought it was just going to be a remaster of the film. But in addition, it has a second full-length film for Savage Sam. That explains why it's called a 2-movie collection other than 2-disc special edition. I thought it was just going to be a special edition for just Old Yeller 1. And then you would just get Savage Sam as a single disc release. I'm just thinking of it. Maybe I'm just probably thinking of it a different way around. But, yeah. I don't think I ever seen Old Yeller, but like I said, I seen a trailer, but I never knew that they had to add a scene for involving fighting a dog before you get rabies. I don't even understand why. But yeah. Anyway, moving right along before I get people who are traumatized from that scene from Old Yeller who had seen it. Moving right along, we are heading on over to disc number 2. The first supplement on disc 2 is Making Toy Story, a general featurette which calls Archival production and interview footage primarily of Pixar animators. This is not to be confused with the story behind Toy Story. the featurette from disc 1 of the Ultimate Toy Box that ran 7 minutes longer and is not presented here, making it behind share a fair amount of material with John Lasseter and other Pixar crew members, but this new version loses a lot on the voice cast, now featuring only Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, and everything dealing with Disney animation and its use of computers over time, making lacks the narration and resultantly feels less promotional, less redundant with the rest of the disc, and more geared towards a DVD audience accustomed to viewing behind-the-scenes material. By contrast, Behind was broadcast as a TV special and was tailored to a general audience. Why create a new piece from old material rather than simply porting over the full 27-minute featurette from the toy box? I have no idea, but I doubt many will take notice. To be sure, while this was acceptable, I preferred Toy Box's longer piece. Even if only for the clips from Disney films of voice cast members like Jim Varney and Wallace Shawn at work. Why is this making me want to get the toy box right now?
Please don't. save your money.
Yeah, I'm just probably gonna say that. But anyway, next is the compelling new featurette, Filmmakers Reflect, in which 4 key members of Pixar's creative team sit down together and reflect on the unique and unconventional way that Toy Story was brought to the screen. Basking in the glow of Pixar's seemingly bright and joyous workplace environment are director John Lasseter and the 3 individuals who share an original story credit with him. Andrew Stanton, Pete Docter, and Buzz. I don't think you are probably aware. But let's just say this is probably the last featurette featuring the late, and I kid you not, the recently deceased Joe Ranft, which in other words, well, boy, in 2005, how do I don't know, how do I basically say this? I don't think you're aware of who's Joe Ranft is, Buzz, right? I think I've heard of him, but why is he, well, deceased? Oh boy. Buzz, I don't think you're going to be prepared for this. And I don't think anyone else is, anyway. Basically, Joe Ranft is an animator, screenwriter, and voice actor who worked for Pixar and Disney. And he is known to do the voice of Hamlet the caterpillar in Hamlet the caterpillar in A Bug's Life, He's also the voice of. He's also the voice of Wheezy, the penguin you might have known from Toy Story 2, who actually starred in Toy Story 2. And he was also the voice, and not to mention that he was also, I kid you not, the he was the voice of Jock from Finding Nemo. He was also the voice of Pete Ward in Monsters Inc. Which is basically, or he has a nickname called Laws. That's why he calls it that. And well, um, hmm. Well, let's just say, oh boy, hmm.
It's like 57 minutes in.
Yeah, already 57 minutes in. But anyway, let me try to rephrase this for you, Buzz. Joe Ranft, he's an animator for Disney and Pixar, who also has his younger brother named Jerome. Right, he has worked with Pixar with several different movies that that they had done. He was the voice for Hamlet and Wheezy and Jocks, Pete Ward, and his last role for in Cars, where he was the voice of Red and Peterbilt, and he was the co-director of the movie as well. Well, Buzz, I don't think you are ready for this. And I don't. Perhaps the audience is probably not ready for this either. Uh, um. Hmm.
Gotta just say it.
Well, before Cars was released on June 9th, 2006, he, well, let's just say something terrible had happened to, Joe. It was I kid you not, actually a terrible, terrible incident that happened to him. And if you don't, if if you really like to know what specific incident I'm talking about, oh boy, here it comes. On 2000 and in 2005 on August 16th, Ramth, who was age 45, and his friend Eric Fearson, who was 39, were passengers in the 2004 Honda Element, which was being driven by another friend identified as Elgaba Earl, age 32. They were driving northbound on Highway 1 in Mendocino County, California. A typical drive. That doesn't sound too bad. Oh, really? I mean, it may not sound bad, but to make matters worse, though, Buzz, Joe, well, not exactly Joe, but Earl had unfortunately lost control due to an unknown reason. I think either he had a flat out tire, or I don't know what exactly happened, but I'm guessing it's either a flat tire or something like that. Unfortunately lost control. Yeah, unfortunately lost control. And the SUV had unfortunately tumbled down a cliff and plunged over 130 feet into the mouth of Navarro River. Fearson was injured, but somehow survived by escaping through the sunroof of the vehicle. But what happened to Ramth and Earl? Did they survive? Did they make it out alive? I'll try to contact Starkman to send reinforcements. I'm afraid not, Buzz. I'm afraid not. I don't think it's gonna work at all. Because Buzz, you probably am not aware. Unfortunately, Eric and Joe, they did not make it out. They did not survive the crash alive. They unfortunately did not. They were found deceased and had died from the crash fatally. No, that can't be. This can't be true. This can't be right. I'm afraid so. Buzz. It did happen. It apparently did. And unfortunately, it did happen. I wish we can't believe it, but it happened anyway. No, wait. What? Wait. Yep. I knew that was going to happen.
This just went from reading Just typical reading a DVD Disney review to like talk about Joe Ramp's death.
And yeah, as heart-wrenching as you think, but unfortunately as to this day, we all miss Joe Ramp. And I never knew he died to that day. But it did, but unfortunately it happened. But because of that, because of his death, Cars and Corpse Bride, a movie by Tim Burton, where he was basically, he is a respectively director and producer of the film, were both released posthumously and dedicated to him. What kind of planet am I in right now? I don't know. You're probably not in a terrible planet, but I've seen worse. But I'll tell you what. We're probably gonna move right along because we don't want to take too long anyway, mourning about his death. Because we wouldn't want to let Joe sad or let him down, would we?
I come in peace.
Nope.
To infinity and beyond.
There we go. There's that voice phrase you're looking for. But anyway, moving right along. After that, a historic. So basically, Filmmakers Reflect is a historic camaraderie clearly emerges among these long-term collaborators, which lends this a welcome jockey atmosphere. At the same time, though, the four recall their challenging experiences of working with Disney, a disastrous screening that led to production being shut down, and their research trips to Toy Story. Wait a minute. A disaster? What disaster are you talking about? Oh, here we go again.
Buzz, you don't want to know.
Nope. We're probably gonna we're not gonna save that for another time because you don't want to know. Neither should the audiences watching. Because the less that we think about the negative, the better. But anyways, a disastrous screening, which shall not be named or mentioned under any circumstance, is, well, they basically recall it the challenging experiences and a research trip to toy stores. I can't think of any other studio that could give us such an earnest and unabashed retrospective, but it's undoubtedly the most magnetic supplements on this DVD and any DVD for that matter. Deleted scenes follow and run over 18 minutes and 50 seconds in total, including 2 old introductions. The deleted animation and abandoned sequences sections of the Ultimate Toy Box are merged and account for the intros. The brief, partially animated Torture and Rain excerpts. 2 alternate openings, one featuring Buzz's TV show.
This is an intergalactic emergency. Buzz Lightyear, to the rescue!
The other being a Western showdown between Woody and Andy, and Woody's Nightmare story reel. Which is basically, we were going to get a different Nightmare of Woody before we had the one we all know in Toy Story 2. But you don't want to know either. Rounding out this portion are 3 entirely new scenes. Eastern Gate, a quite amusing nighttime encounter between Buzz and Woody, who were partially voiced by Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. Shakes the Rattle provides an odd warning about Sid's house from a slightly off squeaky tiger rattle. Sid's Comeuppance provides an alternate take on a film's climactic scene, which plays with the subtlety of a poor after-school special. And of course, excluding the deleted scenes is a disastrous screening, which again which shall not be mentioned or named. The disc's fourth listing, behind the scenes, makes up the largest portion of the DVD, and it is almost entirely recycled from the Ultimate Toy Box. One new piece listed on its own is the brief but decent Designing Toy Story, in which members of Pixar's design team, like Ralph Eggleston, Jeff Pigeon, and Bud Luckey, recalled the process of finding a visual style for the film and its diverse cast of characters and locations. It's more interesting than it sounds. The rest of this portion closely resembles the different Disc 3 areas of Toy Story, but a substantial amount of material has not resurfaced. Production art accounts for much of the missing content, but some animation featurettes and all text-based sections are all missing altogether. The biggest change in this department is that art galleries have been somewhat liberally trimmed and converted into slideshows. Likewise, trailer galleries have been converted to reels. Obviously, not every missing still is a great loss, but there was some pretty interesting stuff that does not appear here. Design provides the lightened galleries, which, as slideshows, no longer require remote control use. For major characters, several have been grouped together, and sets and filming locations. Three-dimensional tours of 4 sets and turnarounds of a slew of characters are also offered. Under color, there is the featurette Designing Color, ported over from the Toy Box, where it was called Designing Toy Story, plus slideshows for concept art and color scripts, but no color keys. Story holds Joe Ram's energetic pitch of the storyboarded Green Army Men sequence, which runs 5 minutes and 55 seconds with intro, making this like 6 minutes. A story reel sequence depicts Woody and Company's introduction to Andy's new toy, Buzz. And lastly, a split-screen comparison of the final act sequence, The Chase, is presented. Production offers a brief production tour explaining the different stages of computer animation, a multi-angle progression, which again shows the chase sequence in 3 different stages, layout tricks detailing various shortcuts taken to create a desired visual effect, an animation tour hosted by Ash Brennan, the co-director of Toy Story 2, and a self-explanatory multi-language reel depicting Buzz's first bedtop encounter with Andy's toys in a large number of foreign tongues. Oh, it's not like his Spanish mode is there or anything. My what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Music and sound includes another bonus feature, a music video for the end credits version of You Got a Friend in Me, performed by yours truly, Randy Newman and Lyle Lovett. This appears to be a new edit of an original music video, and as the floating artwork that appears on the menus is shuffled with some clearly dated footage of Newman and Lovett recording the song in the studio. Which, in other words, you might kind of seen that music video similar in the 2000 VHS of Toy Story, only that it shows footage of the movie, I think. But anyway, this section also houses the fascinating Gary Radstrom hosted featurette Designing Sound, with effects-only demonstrations, a consolation prize since no full track is offered, a 17.5-minute minute of, well, basically, sorry about this real quick, guys. A 17, dang it, and over 17.5 minutes of Randy Newman's song demos, the 3 numbers that made it into the film, and 3 work-in-progress tunes that did not.
You used the rewind button twice.
But But hey, you may never know if I use that again. But anyway, publicity is one area I always find interesting. This maintains one of the Toy Box's 2 Buzz and Woody character interviews with John Mulhane, 2 theatrical trailers, and 4 TV spots, no longer individually accessible except by skipping chapters, and highly abbreviated slideshows of posters, including some print ads and toys and stuff. The last extra listed is the Claw game, basically acting like the machine from the Pizza Planet scene of the movie, with you navigating where the claw moves and drops down, depending on what you pick up. You may be treated to a short clip on the toy that you just won. After a long time of playing around with this, I think I only encountered 3 different reward clips, which are diverting on a first viewing, but not so much on repeat victories. Scattered about all of Disc 2's menu screens are stars like Sheriff Woody's. Clicking any of those will play a brief series of Toy Story treats, short interstitials that Pixar animated for commercial breaks on ABC's Saturday morning cartoon lineup in 1996. Although not all of the film's original voices return, and the writing typically centers on a simple gag, these are often amusing little bits. What's so amusing about it? Well, when I mentioned about not all of the original voices return for this, I can kind of show one of the Toy Story treats, but just probably not the entire thing because, copyright. But we won't be taking too long, so here's one. Here's one, for example. If I can find one just right here. What's this?
To infinity and beyond.
Why is my voice different? Simple. Voice casting. Different. Because before it wasn't Tim Allen, it was actually Pat Fraley. Pat Fraley. Did he make me sound like Batman? Yes and no. Do I still sound like Batman though? No. No, you do not. And if you're also curious, Woody is usually sometimes played by Tom Hanks in most of the movies, but it's for subsequent shorts and TV show, subsequent video game releases or TV show or TV spots or subsequent releases like toys, video games, live arena shows, or whatever. Woody is not usually played by Tom Hanks. He's actually played by his brother Jim. Yeah. But anyway, I kid you not, Buzz, you don't sound like Batman because you still have Tim Allen. Don't worry. What's a Batman? Really? Anyway, though, like I said, not all of the film's original voices return, and the writing typically centers on a simple gag. They're often amusing little bits. From the still disc to index menu, clicking on a star brings up a list of over 13 entries and a play all option. Each entry holds a collection of the shorts, rather than a complete listing of all 52 shorts that adorn disc 1 of the toy box. The whole bunch runs over 13 minutes and 13 seconds, and I counted somewhere over 45 treats. At least one appears to only be listed as an Easter egg on the Easter egg index, and several appear to be trimmed a bit. Either way, they were presented in better fashion on the Ultimate Toy Box, where they were arranged in the random order as opposed to the theming here. which gets somewhat repetitive. Still, as one of the more memorable and unique bonus features, the Toy Box should be quite pleased at their unannounced inclusion. The lack of the history section that appeared on the Ultimate Toy Box leaves a number of supplements missing from this 10th anniversary edition. And the behind the scenes on Disc 2 aggravates galleries and loses several featurettes. Here's a summary of what was included on the 2000 release, but not restored in the 10th anniversary. And they are Pixar's 1988 short Tin Toy, the sound effects only soundtrack. 2 text-based original story treatments from 1991 and 93 with John Lasseter intro. I was about to question what specific story treatment for 93 is, but again, you don't want him to know. Never mind. But anyway, one of 2 character interviews with Buzz and Woody. The featurettes, history and development, character animation, shaders and lighting, and building a shot. Many stills of art and photos from the galleries, which are converted into slideshows. Early animation tests and modeling featurettes for several characters. Production notes from the film, biographies of the cast and Randy Newman, a text section on editing, special effects test footage and progression plus galleries, 7 render bugs clips, and the supplements disc intro, expected since it doesn't entirely apply here, but nothing replaces it, and the early animation test. No separate listing is given for this memorable 32-second test, but most of it appears in Making Toy Story. As with the Toy Box and other Pixar DVDs, the fully animated menus are admirably themed. Disc 1's main menu opens with Buzz about to make a flying exhibition after first uttering his catchphrase,
I am Buzz Lightyear.
Nope.
I protect the galaxy from the threat of invasion.
Nope.
I come in peace. To infinity and beyond.
There we go. There's the one I was looking for.
This is an intergalactic emergency.
It then
Buzz Lightyear to the rescue.
It then cuts to a montage of scenes from the film, which appear on the TV in Andy's room in front of those oohing little green aliens from Pizza Planet. Each submenu features a transition to a different screen. Scene selections appear on Andy's wall, with the little green men making efforts to change the channel by bouncing, standing atop one another, or even using the remote. And, as you might expect, if you delay in choosing something, those squeaky aliens begin to question your agency. Disc 2's menus are rather different from Disc 1, but are also inspired. Each features a busy montage of production artwork pertaining to the various sections. For instance, storyboard sketches float around the deleted scene section, and so on. If you take too long to select something, the green aliens arise from below to check on you. All the menus offer excerpts from Randy Newman's score or instrumentals of his songs. As with Disc 1, a simple still index is also offered for one wishing to browse the disc in its entirety on one page. While the floating artwork design is nice, it does lack the creativity and diversity present in the Ultimate Toy Box's supplement disc menus, which emulated everything from Buzz's wrist panel to entrance to Pizza Planet's entrance and claw machine. I don't think anyone buys DVDs just for the menus, but this pleasing collection is just a small step down from the Toy Box. As you probably expect, Toy Story 10th Anniversary Edition comes in a standard with black keep case, housed in a cardboard slipcover. Those with a Pixar section in their DVD collection will gladly notice that this packaging matches that of the initial printings of other currently available DVDs. A Bug's Life, Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, though they may not be easy to score with slipcovers anymore, and Monsters, Inc. never featured one. Inside the case, there is a savings booklet with coupons for $3 off The Incredibles and December's Toy Story 2 special edition. There is also the or formatted fold open four-sided insert, which promotes all the kinds of Toy Story merchandise, such as books, apparel, party goods, and of course, toys. Most importantly, though, is an 8-page DVD guide booklet. The front of this neatly features the whole gang on what would have probably made a nicer DVD cover. Opening it up, you'll find a letter from John Lasseter toting your newly purchased DVD, accompanied by what is basically an ad for the set. A 2-page map of the set's 2 discs drawn on Etch-a-Sketch, a 2-page overview of some important new bonus features, and of course, a list of scene selections. For those who missed out on previously buying Toy Story on DVD, or who understandably but foolishly opt for the cheaper, lightweight Lightyear. That's not what I meant, Buzz. Individual disc or 2-pack. Disney and Pixar have put together a wonderful thank you for your patience with this truly pleasing 2-disc 10th anniversary edition. With picture and sound that are truly exemplary, substantial bonus features which will interest even casual supplement fans, and a movie which soars as high as the best cinema has ever offered. You simply cannot go wrong with this solid re-release of positively delightful film. Those with that treasure the ultimate toy box in their collection already own one of the finest DVD sets ever released, and may well want to hold on to it. The 10th anniversary edition's feature presentation does improve a bit upon past DVD releases of the movie, but just how evident such improvements in picture and sound will depend squarely on the size and power of your home theater equipment. As for the past DVD releases for Toy Story, left a little room for enhancements and higher bit rate and generally welcome handful of new bonus features here, the necessity to double dip relies upon how much value you place on the film and this new set's various editions. If the completist inside you opts to pick up the set as it is reasonable release date, discount pricing, you'll likely want to still keep the toy box, if only for the worthwhile extras from that set, which have not been ported over here, such as the Tin Toy shorts, several animation featurettes, more expansible art galleries, original story treatments, which I do not want to know, sound effects only track, and the making of documentary that has been unfavorably appropriated. Of course, the entirety unacquainted should pick up this fine DVD release without hesitation. I cannot recommend either the film or the digital presentation more strongly, even in the odd absence of some previously offered supplements. Excluding original story treatments, I'm fine with.
Right. Well, Buzz, what did you think?
Well, that was interesting. And wow, I never knew a lot of those. I never knew our own movie had a lot of features like that. Unlike the newer release, yes.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, that was our reading of Toy Story, the DVD, to this DVD. Now, when we come back, our next several podcasts are just going to be me, Duke, and Buzz, looking back at our previous ratings on DVD Disney. So we're pretty much going to be reacting to like our previous rating videos, just so Buzz can get a good look, I mean, we're not reading them again because obviously you already read, A Bug's Life and Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. We're reacting to us reading it so that Buzz can get the picture of how all these DVDs are like them.
True.
But yeah, as of right now, that's it for this podcast. This was definitely one of our longer ones. Of course, I think the reason why this is very long is because Duke had to start talking about Jar Ramps. But rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, rest in peace to him. Rest in peace. Pixar would never be the same without him.
Or Glenn McQueen. Anyway. So yeah, we'll see you all next time, guys. Say goodbye, Buzz.
Farewell, everyone.
See you guys.